welcome to a special edition of Apple Core. As you can see today, we are not in the studio, we are at the Apple event. In fact, if you can peek through those trees, you'll be able to catch a glimpse of the Apple campus, that spaceship campus, and right behind me here is the Steve Jobs Theater where Apple has just announced their latest batch of products. And I'm gonna give you a play-by-play of everything that happened today, ending with our first hands-on look at those new products. The first product out of the gate was the Apple Watch Series 4, and there's a reason why it was the headliner, because at least in my eyes, it really stole the show. It got the first big redesign since its launch, and thanks to 9to5Mac, we knew exactly what that redesign would look like. So yes, bigger screen, but not just because of those barely there bezels, but also because the screen itself got larger from 38 to 40 millimeters for the smaller version, and 42 to 44 millimeters for the larger one. That means more complications on the screen, up to 8, which we also knew from the leak, and a new set of watch faces to choose from, but still no watch face store or sleep tracking, and the battery life doesn't seem to have improved much from the last model. But once in the demo room, I actually got to take a closer look at the watch and put it side by side with the Series 3 that I had on my wrist, and here's where you really see the difference in that screen size. Also worth noting, the digital crown looks way better with just the red outline for the LTE version instead of that big red dot. It also has now haptic feedback, which is useful for a superpower, but I'll get to that later. I also want to point out that the mic has moved position. It has a better speaker, so just to reduce echo, they've moved it below the digital crown, and the back is now made of ceramic and sapphire. This is supposed to boost cell signal on the watches. It also feels more comfortable on the wrist. I think the body itself is slimmer, but also the sensors don't jut out as much, and it seems to be more flush with my skin. It's actually those sensors that are the main event for the watch. It has a new EKG or ECG feature, meaning it can pretty much screen for potentially life-threatening diseases like atrial fibrillation. It now alerts you when you have an irregular heart rate, and then you can either confirm or deny by just putting your finger on that digital crown to take an ECG and maybe send it to your doctor for analysis. Now, the other big thing is that it does have FDA clearance, which is a huge step forward for a consumer wearable. It also has an improved accelerometer and gyroscope, so precise that it can actually figure out when you've taken a tumble. Now, this is helpful if you actually hurt yourself, and if it detects that you're not moving, it takes the next step for you and actually sends out an SOS alert and lets your loved ones know that you've taken a fall. That to me really elevates the watch for a different kind of audience that's not just looking to get in shape or to use it as an extension of their phone, but who's looking to really keep tabs on their health, or an audience who's looking to keep tabs on the health of their loved ones. Okay, next up, iPhones. The sequels to the 10 are officially the XS and XS Max. And I still can't get used to saying Max, so excuse me if I at some point stumble and say Plus, because it still hasn't sunk in. But moving on, they were exactly what we expected, thanks again to a leak by 9to5Mac. We had the 5.8-inch and the 6.5-inch Super Retina OLED screen with that nice gold finish. They both have better sound, better camera sensor, A12 Bionic processor, faster and more secure Face ID, dual SIM option, and a 512 gigabyte storage option at the low price of $999 or $1,099. Oh yeah, or $1,499 for the 512 gigabyte option. Yikes, that's a lot of numbers and a lot of money. Now up close, the 10 doesn't look that much bigger than the previous 8 Plus, which is pretty cool, the fact that they've been able to really take advantage of all the real estate on the front of the phone. It has 1 full inch more, so also a much nicer gold than the previous models, at least in my opinion. Here they are, all 3 of them together. We have the aluminum 7 Plus, the glass and aluminum 8 Plus, which looked more like pink, let's be honest, and this new stainless steel, which in my opinion is kind of what makes the gold on this finish look better. I also got to play around with the advanced portrait mode feature that lets you change the intensity of the blur after you've taken the shot. That's similar to what we'd already seen from Samsung with the selective focus, but I did feel like the blur on the Max looked a little bit more natural than what I was used to seeing on the iPhone 10 at least in the few minutes that I had to play around with it. Then, that one more thing, which in this case happened to be an iPhone, which we were already expecting. What we didn't know was the name, the iPhone XR. Don't ask me what the R stands for, because I'm not sure that Apple knows what the R stands for. But that doesn't mean we can't have some fun playing a guessing game down in the comment section below, or hit me up on Twitter with your funniest or best guesses of what that R stands for. Anyway, we didn't have an official leak of this phone, but it did match up to a lot of the mock-ups we had been seeing pretty much everywhere at this point. It did have 6 new color options that we weren't quite sure of: a red, a blue, a yellow, a coral, a white, and black, with that 6.1-inch LCD screen. Oh, wait. Liquid Retina display and single camera on the back. Here it is side by side with an iPhone X and an iPhone 8 Plus. It's actually a really nice size, right in the middle of these two. There are a few other differences to point out, like the aluminum frame. We also expected that versus the stainless steel. And no 3D touch. Instead, it actually has haptic touch on the side button for things like quick launch of the camera. But aside from that, it seems to be on par with the other two, at least where it matters. The same A12 Bionic processor, dual SIM option, that faster Face ID, and it even has portrait mode, but it's doing that with software because it obviously doesn't have that second telephoto lens, so TBD whether or not this actually works. The Google Pixel does it with software and it does it pretty well, so it could be that it does a legitimate portrait mode as well. But the best thing about this phone is that it's $250 cheaper than its cheapest counterpart, which happens to be smaller. And it's kind of sad that anything below $1,000 now is considered cheap, so I'm just gonna call it less expensive. Either way, it's a good alternative if you're not willing to fork up the $1,000 for either of the other two models. And again, that's just for the 64GB option, because if not, you're going to spend closer to the $1,000. Sadly, no more One More things after that, except we did find out that the fast charger and the dongle will be MIA in the box of these new iPhones. Pre-orders for the iPhone XS, XS Max, and the Apple Watch Series 4 begin on Friday, September 14th, with the phones and the watch actually going on sale the following Friday, September 21st. But unfortunately, the rumors were also true about the delays for the cheaper iPhone XR, and you're gonna have to wait for the pre-order, which begins October 19th, and it doesn't go on sale till October 26th. So that concludes the gather round portion of the Apple event here at the Steve Jobs Theater. We got 4 new Apple products, we got 3 new iPhones, and an Apple Watch Series 4. But I want to know which one of these you guys like best. Hit me up on the comment section below or on Twitter. And we also didn't get answers to all of our questions at this event, so we're going to be back next week at the Apple Core discussing what we didn't get from the Apple event. So come back at cnet.com or on YouTube.